Hi, good morning students. I am Siddharth and this is a class 3 continuity class for chapter number 1 typical configuration of computers. And the previous class we discussed about some components of the motherboard. Actually in that components of the motherboard we discussed nearly 2 or 3 components. But in this class we are continuing of the components of the motherboard. So dear students, after the some components of the motherboard like what we discussed in earlier, RAMs and RAM slots, CMOS, BIOS and all these things. So in this class we are going to the next another one very important component inside the memory itself that is coming, that is cache memory. So what we discussed earlier for the RAM, this is also a one type of the primary memory. So if you are able to classify the primary memory, this is also one type of the memory. But cache memory is a high speed memory. Compared to the RAM and ROM, this is a high speed memory. And where it is located? It will be located in between the RAM and CPU. It will be located in between the RAM and CPU. The cache memory increases the speed of the processing. Cache memory increases the speed of the processing. Cache memory acts as a near, stores the data and the instructions temporarily. The data is to be used, makes them available to the CPU at the faster rate. That means it will store the data temporarily. Whenever you need, automatically it will give the data we will store and very fastly accessible. That's why it is a very faster than RAM and ROM. So it will store the data. So if you are observing the diagram of the cache memory, in between the RAM and the CPU, this cache memory will be located. Processor, registers, L1, L2 and RAM and hard disk drive. So this will be a pictorial representation. We have one more a diagram. So to represent this one, in your textbook this same diagram will looks like in different, but this is also a same diagram, but we are just mentioning the name. So if you are closely observing how this particular L1 and L2 caches are working, see this diagram. So processor is linked with L1 cache, L1 cache is linked with L2. These L2 is we have one north bridge in between the RAM and L2 connected, the front side bus and the memory bus. So this is what one a technical representation of a particular cache memory. See dear students, it has 3 types of levels, L1, L2 and L3 also. But one thing remember students, the L3 is a type of the level, it is not visible, it is an invisible type of the cache. But L1 and L2 we have a different capacities to store the data. Usually L1 type of the cache will store minimum 256 kilobytes of the data will be stored by L1. In 256 kilobytes, it may support for 64, 128 or 256 kilobytes also. And coming to the L2, a type of the cache, it will support to near around 6 to 8 MB. We will call like this, 6 to 8 MB, 6 MB usually. Then 6 MB means of course it will support for the previous memory bytes like 2, 1, 2, 4, okay, 6 MB. So these kinds of memory it will be supported by L2. And L3, remember students, it will be supported more than a 6 GB, like up to a 12 MB is supported by, that is L3 cache. So that's why all these 3 levels of the cache will have a chance to store the data. This is what level 1, level 2 and level 3 inside the cache memory. You should explain what that cache memory will do and what are all the levels of the cache memory and what is the maximum capacities of the levels. If you explain that one, that's enough for the 3 marks question. Then if you are moving to the one more component of the motherboard, that is expansion IO slots or expansion slots. So these expansion slots usually dear students we are using to connect the external devices to the computer. So some as we said expansion slots are the slots to which controls add-on cards, extra cards if we need to connect. That's why on that time these expansion slots or expansion IO slots were useful to connect these kinds of particular devices. And these kinds of the devices are plug and play devices. Plug and play devices. See dear students, before going to the plug and play devices, how that IO slots will looks like. So usually IO slots can be connected, expansion slots can be connected with the video cards installs or plugged in. That means when we are connecting to the computer, that's plugged in. Graphics, sound cards provided better audio, network interface, NIC, network interface connectors, and your computer will be connected to the network, means that was internet. And that time also you need this type of the component. So this is what one pictorial representation, how that IO slots are looks like. So in figure, if you are able to observe, the plug-in cards are mounted to the IO slots. So this is what input output slots will perform. So in brief, if you are explaining IO slots, what are all the IO slots we have? See, in that first one is PCI, peripheral component interconnect, is a one particular component used to connect IO buses to the devices. It will be support for the 32-bit. As I said earlier, some operating system will support for 32-bit and as well as 64-bit. So this will support for PCI slots will support for 32-bit slots used to install the expansion slots, and these PCI slots generally white in color. If you are physically identify on the motherboard, these kinds of I showed in motherboard PCI slots 1x and 16x slots as I said. So this is will be able to identify by the color, that means in white color these kinds of the component will be observed on the motherboard. And PCI express slot, so this is in a 16x blue color. If you are identifying on the motherboard, this is a blue color, physically blue color board. It will nearly supports to 8 GB to transfer the data. So this will be a graphics. More data compared to the PCI. PCI Express will support to the up to 8 GB. This will be supported by PCI Express slots, and also the PCI Express slots will support for intensive PC games. As I said earlier, if you want more RAMs on that time, these slots will be helpful. Then after that PCI slots, one more very important slot, AGP slot, accelerated graphics port. This is also used to connect extra RAM when you are needing of the high gaming purpose. That time you can use this type of the slots to increase your RAM, AGP, accelerated graphics port or accelerated compatibility. Then ISA, industrial standard architecture, ISA slots. This is also one older type of the slots with a low speed 8-bit and used in PC, where we introduced at the beginning. If you are remembering, XT motherboards will support for these kinds of the ISA standard architecture. And also in the, if you want to say in its decade, means in the last decade of the 20th century, we are using the ISA architectures, industrial standard architectural slots we are using. Then ISA with EISA, enhanced, E means here enhanced industrial standard architecture. This will be a faster. ISA will support for 8-bit, but EISA, enhanced industrial standard architecture, will support for 16-bit. Remember students, double than ISA. 16-bit buses will be supported by the EISA. But these EISA also outdated systems, because nowadays we are not at all using these kinds of the EISA slots buses. Then what will be the speed? If you are closely observing, slot type, PCI slots type, it will be support maximum speed around 133 MB per second, megabytes per second. And also AGP, accelerated graphics port, will support for the 2 GB per second, 2 gigabytes per second. And also PCI Express will support for 8 GB per second, high speed with the second. So this is what speed of the buses, how that particular devices will perform. Then after this, one more component, disk controller. I am giving in-depth description about the component, but on that, when you are writing nearly 5 to 8 components, just brief over 2 or 3 minimum qualities of that particular components. Then if I coming to the disk controller, so this disk controllers we have usually two types. One is FDD and HDD, floppy disk controller and hard disk controller. Inside that, two types of the disk controllers here we are saying, that is IDE, integrated digital electronics, or sometimes we will call integrated drive electronics, and EIDE, enhanced integrated drive electronics, and SATA, serially advanced or serial advanced technology attachment. SATA is a type of the cable. SATA is a type of the connector where we are able to saw on the motherboard. Remember students, these type of the devices will support for 40 pin IDE controllers, 40 pin, and were found earlier Pentium motherboards. These kinds of the devices will be found earlier P1, P2, P3, P4 systems, Pentium systems. On that time these kinds of the devices we are using. But later 80 pins enhanced IDE will be able to we are using, that will be EIDE, enhanced integrated drive electronics. So this will be introduced for the faster data transfer, and in IDE again we have the two types, that what we said earlier, that is hard disk controller and as well as floppy disk controller. Then see, if you are able to see a type of the cable and type of the connector, how we are able to see on the motherboard. As I said in earlier, it is a pink color. It's like a pink color. SATA cable is a pink color used to connect hard disk to the motherboard. It will be L-like structure, L pin connectors we are using on the ends of the wires. Both ends are common type. That cable, both end common ended cable, that cables are used to SATA cables are used to connect devices like your hard disk to your motherboard with the help of this kinds of the pink cable. That cable is called as SATA cable, and where you will connect this cable, that particular part is what we called as SATA connector or ATA serial connector. Then after this, if you are able to clearly I am showing, this is what we called as ATA connectors, and this is what we called as SATA cable. After this is what IDE cable, integrated digital electronics, drive electronics. We are say this is the type of the cable. It is a belt like structure, belt like. If you are able to see, this is a belt like structure. In between this belt like structure cable, nearly 40 wires are combined. Small 40 wires are we make it into one small belt, and we have two different ends. So that is what we called as IDE cable. So this would be around IDE cables are 40 pin, and EIDE cables are nearly 80 pins. So this is how we are connecting the EDI cable, IDE or EIDE or PHA connectors, what we will connect to the computer. So dear students, then after this, IO ports and interfaces. If you are able to see the back panel of the CPU, these type of the classifications of some devices, if you are able to see, so this is what we called as IO ports and interfaces. Interfaces means communication. So these are all the some devices like PS2, USB, VGA, LAN, audio ports, serial ports, parallel ports, HDMI, and FireWire port, etc. See, I will show you clear picture. Yeah. So if you are observing first one, PS2, mouse port, a green like structure, dear students. So this what? Green like structure. If you are able to see on your screen, this is a particular IO port, input port, used to connect a mouse to the motherboard. On the back side of the CPU, if you are able to observe, that green color, a type of the a port we are able to observe. So this is used to connect a mouse to the motherboard. Then after that mouse port, in below of that mouse port, again PS2 keyboard port. It looks like in purple color. So nowadays, of course, we are not at all using these two types of the ports. Instead of these mouse port, PS2 ports, nowadays we are using USB port for the keyboard and mouse, because nowadays present advanced keyboard and mouse will coming with the USB ports. But in generally, in previously we are using these two boards, but nowadays in present some advanced boards also they are given some these kinds of the structure, but we are not at all using. Let us. Then beside to that one is that is serial port. So serial ports are used to connect some devices like whatever printers, like some output devices, and it will support it for displays sometimes. So this is also one particular component. And beside to that one is, if you are able to observe, that is a blue color VGA port, visual graphical adapter or visual graphical array adapters. So this is a particular type of the port where we use it to connect monitors to the motherboard. Blue color. But this is also nowadays is replaced with HDMI. Nowadays VGA or DVI, digital video interface, VGA is replaced with DVI. Then after DVI is again now is replaced with HDMI, high definition media interface, HDMI. So this is what advanced versions of the displays. Okay, let it. But now that VGA port is used to connect monitors to the particular motherboard. So this is what looks like in a blue color, and female port what we are used to connect to the motherboard. Then above on that VGA port, if you are observing that one parallel port that should be used to connect some DVI like devices like parallel ports are used. So many devices will connect with the help of the parallel port. So on that time these kinds of the ports are using. But compared to the serial and parallel ports, it will be differ from the number of the pins what we have. Then after the serial and parallel pins, now if you are coming to the one more very important and nowadays most commonly used port, that is USB port, universal serial bus port. So this is what the USB port. Here you are able to see just the two ports, but in your motherboard if you will get nearly 4 to 6 ports on that back panel or front panel. You will get more extensions to that USB ports. Usually, dear students, USB ports are in both panels, either in front panel or back panel. But usually whenever copying a data, more data, or whenever copying the maximum type of the data to the pen drive or to the any external hard disk, that time most of the experts, computer experts, they will use a back panel of the USB port, because this is the very simple reason. Back panel of the USB ports are used directly connect to the motherboard. That's why whenever connecting, whenever comparing with the front panel USB ports, it will take a little bit a time to transfer the data. That's why you maximum techs are using a back panel to the connecting media, and they are used for the transferring of these kinds of the data. And nowadays that USB ports are very commonly used for almost all the devices, input output devices like keyboard, mouse, pen drives, hard disk, external hard disk, gaming purpose, game joysticks. So many devices are able to connecting with the help of the USB devices. Let us discuss, and these devices are called as plug and play devices, add-on devices. Let us discuss later. Then we are coming to the one more part, that is what we called as ports that is RJ45 ports. These ports are used for to connect a physical LAN, external local area network, or to connecting of the modems to the motherboard. These cables are used. The technical name RJ45 or the LAN ports are used to connect a LAN cables to the motherboard or internet to the motherboard. Then after this RJ45 or LAN ports, you are able to identify one more audio panel port. Here you have a chance to observe the three parts of that particular audio disc. There one is stereo mic and what we are using for the recording purpose. Mic stereo and will be a mono stereo. So this is what we called as an audio panel of the particular systems. So very important back panel. If you are closely observe the back panel of the motherboard, these types of the devices you are identified to see. Then see, this is what some description about to that devices. Very briefly I am telling, the VGA at 15 pin port connect to the monitor to the computer system, of course. Then USB 4 pin ports use it to connect external USB devices like pen drives, external hard disk, and DVDs, DVD writers, scanners, keyboards, mouse, etc. And PS2. So these types of the particular ports are used to connect older versions of the keyboards and mouse with the help of 6 pin connectors. Then parallel pins, what we are able to see the pink color, parallel pins, nearly it will be a 25 pin connector used for the parallel pin devices like line printer ports. Printers are usually used to connect these kinds of the ports. And if you are coming to the serial ports, 9 pin connectors. Difference between the serial port and the parallel port. Parallel ports are always 25 pin connectors and serial pins are used for only 9 pin connectors. And 9 pin connectors COM ports are also usually we will call as a communication ports. So this is what we call as these ports are obsolete. Okay. And one more RJ45 or LAN port we are used to connect network internet to the computer, and audio graphic connected to the speakers. Audio output will become a microphone, audio input, output with the help of audio devices, and external graphics ports are used for to connect the PCI slots for the gaming purposes and some to connect the monitors. And other ports like HDMI, high definition media interfaces, or DVI, digital video interfaces, or MIDI, musical instruments digital interface. These are all the devices are used to connect to the motherboard. And HDMI devices are used to connect some projectors, HDMI projectors to motherboard, or HDMI displays to the motherboard, monitors to the motherboard. And DVI, this is also one type of the display category, a digital video interface. This is also type to connect a motherboard. Some monitors will support DVI. Then MIDI, musical instruments digital interface, this is also a one type of the category, but in this type of particular devices we are using some musical instruments like guitar, piano, and all these kinds of the devices we will connect to the computers to perform some musical differences. So this is what we call as MIDI. Then very importantly, USB port, we have some nearly different configurations for the USB port, and it has some power, and it has some speed, and it has some particular components, and it has speed. Whatever these kinds of that USB ports are also called as plug and play devices. Why we have to call that is plug and play, let us discuss here. See dear students, USB port is a much smarter and more versatile port, and it will allow us up to 127 USB devices. It will allow, one motherboard will allow nearly 127 USB devices, peripherals, and using the USB hub used to connect. And also these USB devices are nearly these kinds of the devices, keyboard, mouses, and pen drives, so many devices we are using with the help of that USB. And one more interesting point for the USB port, nowadays we have a chance to boot your computer. We have a chance to install the operating system with the help of that USB port also, and then the USB through the pen drives or external hard disk. When you are changing the preferences on the BIOS, on that time we have a chance to boot load the OS with the help of that USB port also. That's why nowadays a USB port is a very, very important and very commonly using port. And note down, students, some key points to the USB. USB 1.0 had a data transfer rate approximately around 12 Mbps. 12 Mbps, megabytes per second, around for 1 second, 12 megabytes per second, that will be data will be transferred. Upgrade to 2.0 will be 40x, approximately 480 megabytes per second. Like that in USB 3 version, it will supports for around transfer the speed of 5 gigabytes per second. So, and also backward compatible with the USB 2. So this is what a classification a property of a USB port. So very important device for that devices. And why we have these some plug and play meaning? See, sometime the jargon plug and play, PNP, plug and play. That is understand it like that, PNP, when we are abbreviating. So some devices will connect to that particular motherboard, automatically it will play, like pen drive, keyboard, mouse, etc. And whenever these kinds of the devices, these are all add-on devices, extra devices. So this is what plug and play devices. Earlier days, to connect a new device, what is the procedure? But nowadays it's very easy to connect a new device. This is add-on devices. But in earlier days, we have a different method to connect new devices. Like, it was necessary to shut down a computers first. If you want to connect a new device to the computer, first you have to shut down. Then connect the new device. When you are shut down the system, then only it will support for connecting the new device. Then scan for the new device. In your properties of the operating system, you have a chance to scan the new device, and after that you have to scan. Then install the device driver to this particular motherboard. You should install not only software and also not only driver, but also you should scan whether the device is installed or not and restart the system. After installing, after identifying, once again you have to restart your system. But nowadays, just if you are connecting a new devices to your computer with the help of USB, automatically the software will be installed, automatically the driver will be installed, automatically the device will be work properly, automatically the device will be identified on the motherboard. So this is what advanced technology will support by USB. That is why this is a nowadays most commonly used devices, that is USB devices, also called as plug and play devices, dear students. Then after this plug and play, dear students, they may ask one more question. Define plug and play device, or write a note on plug and play device, or write a note on USB. So different questions they may ask for 1 mark or 3 mark. See, in short, if you want to tell about plug and play devices informs the OS. OS means operating system, to recognize a new device plugged in and install the necessary device driver for the device and use of it. It will inform to the operating system one new device is installed and it is working properly. So this is the functionality of plug and play devices. So this is called a plug and play devices. They are generally connected to the USB ports. That's why I said whatever the devices connected through the USB ports, almost all devices are called as plug and play devices. Then after plug and play devices, we will coming for major connecting device, that is bus. Bidirectional usage switch. So this is bus is like nothing but as a cable. It's a cable used to connect devices. See, in buses, bus is a collection of wires through which signals are transmitted from one part of computer to another part. There are mainly three types of the buses, very importantly dear students: address bus, data bus and control bus. Just remember the functions of all these three buses, and you have a chance to get one question based on what is address bus, what is data bus, what is control bus, for 1 mark. So let us discuss what is address bus, which carries the memory's address or peripheral address from the CPU. Address bus which carries the memory address or peripheral address from the CPU. Address bus is an unidirectional. Of course, an address bus is an unidirectional, since it carries the signal from processors to RAM. That's it. It will carries the signals from processors to RAM and forms the processors to I/O devices. It will forms the processors to I/O devices, input output devices. So this is a particular definition for the address bus. It carries the memory address or a peripheral address from the CPU. Address bus is a unidirectional, since it carries the signals from processor to the RAM. Then what is a data bus? Okay, data bus. It carries the data signals between different components of the computer system. Data bus will carries the data with different components of the computer system, but when we are comparing address with data bus is not a unidirectional, but it is a bidirectional. Data bus is a bidirectional since the data is transferred in both directions. It will transfer the data for the both sides. It has both ends or common ends. So this is what data bus. Then coming to the one more last bus, that is control bus. By the name it implies the data bus, control bus carries signals between different components of a computer system, and it is also a bidirectional. It controls the signals as to are carried in both directions. It also controls, but it is also a bidirectional. It also controls by both direction. So this is what a control bus will perform. All these three buses having a different functionality and having a different direction. So based on this, we will coming to know all the buses having a different function. Note down, address bus is in a unidirectional, data bus and control bus are bidirectional. If you are closely observing, so this is a one pictorial representation of data bus, control bus and address bus. CPU, memory, input and output. Depending on the components involved in the data transfer, bus can be classified as, if you are observing. This is the diagrammatical representation for bus. Then after this, dear students, very importantly, we are coming to power supplies to the computer. Of course, until now, whatever we will discuss, that is after power supply only. Without power, no electronics will work. Power means either it may be in AC or a DC, alternate current or a direct current. We know that almost all the electronic devices will support it for DC. So without any power supply, no computer or no any electronic devices will perform. So SMPS will play a very important role to supplies to the computer, power supplies to the computer. So usually when we are coming power supply, if you are able to observe, as I said earlier, for the motherboard, it has one particular connector. That power connector will supply to the power to the motherboard like this. That is a 24-pin connector, as I showed earlier. If you remember, white colored 24-pin connectors used to connect from the power supply SMPS to motherboard, 24 pin connectors. Now after connecting this device only, the motherboard will start the work properly. Then how the power will supply to the computer, which is the device behind this, we'll discuss here now. See, before coming to the particular SMPS, so this will be a physical SMPS diagrammatical representation. Inside the CPU, if you are able to identify on top of the CPU, and if you are observing clearly is one rectangular or square shaped box you are identified. Inside that box, this is a particular device will be installed. So this is what we called as SMPS, switched mode power supply. From this power supply only automatically power will be converted into AC current into DC current. After that, the DC current will be passes to the motherboard. Now I am showing with this 24 pin connector. This board will be connected to what I said previously, connected 24 pin white pin connector to the motherboard. So this will be connected like this. See, I will show. So this is a port. This will be connected with the help of this particular port. So if you are observing SMPS pin, and we have some different ports in the SMPS. Of course, these are all some different SMPS ports, but these ports will support to connect hard disk for the power to the hard disk, and some other needs disk drives, CD drives, that's also need extra power, and also hard disks, and also some power supplies to the some other points like whatever we will call extra power when we need 4 pin connectors. So serial and parallel pin connect devices will need a power. That a time that these ports will be used to connect power connectors on the motherboard. Then I will coming to the switched mode power supply or switching mode power supply. So SMPS converts the electric power from AC currents to DC current, alternating current to direct current. Nearly, dear students, one thing you remember, if you want to on a computer, minimum 230 of volts we need. Minimum 230 of AC volts we need. After that, SMPS will only convert that AC current into DC current, and it will bifurcates and it will be converts that 230 volts into different voltages, nearly 12 volts, 5 volts, 6 volts and 0.5 volts. Like it will be classifies the voltage and to the particular components, because in a motherboard or in a computer, almost all the devices has its own power capacity. USB, it has a different capacity compared with the RAM, and motherboard it has a different power supply power capacity with the hard disk. Like that, almost all the component it has a particular different power supply power capacity. That's why with the help of that particular SMPS, almost all the devices will get the powers to the computer. Then dear students, in SMPS, if you want to say, almost all ATX motherboards, what we are nowadays we are telling almost all ATX motherboards. Now if you are able to see that these two components will connect internet like that, then almost all ATX motherboards will support for that SMPS, switched mode power supplies. This is a 24 pin connectors from the CPU, and microprocessor, RAM, hard disk, CD drive and all other devices will getting a power from this particular SMPS. And also if you are observing the SMPS pictorial, inside that SMPS you are able to identify a fan also, because when you are conversion of AC to DC, sometime it needs a cool down of that process. That's why inside the CPU that one particular fan is also running for the processing. It will help to the process. Then see on that both diagrams if you are observing, older motherboards with the 20 pin connectors, but nowadays newer motherboards will support for the 24. That's why ATX with motherboards will support for the 24 pin connectors. So this is what we called as usually 24 means that will be again divided 20 pin connector with plus 4 pin connectors, that is 24 pin connector. Then this is what SMPS. SMPS is a major power source to the computer. Then, not only SMPS will not supply the power. Sometimes when the power failure, we need one more device. That is what we called as UPS. Uninterruptible power supply. Usually, this is not a new word to you, UPS. You heard this name regarding in your home, you have a UPS, inverters. So, usually, computers also need a UPS. Because dear students, whenever sometimes the systems will doing operations, it will be doing different programs. Suddenly when the power will off means it will be affect to the computer when the process is incomplete, when the programs is incomplete, execution is incomplete, and that time it may corrupt of the operating system. Because a system files will be run on that time automatically. When the power will off means when the power computer will shut down automatically means that will be able to chance of corrupting of the operating system. To avoid that and to avoid unusual power off, we are using very important device, that is what we called as UPS, uninterruptible power supply. By the name that is telling uninterruptible, UPS. Uninterruptible means without disturbing, without any disturbance, the continuously if any power supply is coming by one device means that is what we called as UPS, uninterruptible power device. UPS is generally protects a computer against different power problems, power failures, power fluctuations, voltage surges and spikes. If you are having a knowledge about electricity, that times we have it, we will get some different situations like voltage fluctuations. Sometimes when the voltage will be more, voltage will be a low, and sometimes when we are rainy season, sometimes automatically of thunderstorms will be there, that time voltage will become automatically high. So to avoid all these, we need one particular device. That is what the UPS will do. So there are mainly two types of the UPS. One is offline UPS, second one is online UPS. Dear students, I will show you just a pictures of that offline and online UPS work, how that work. See what the diagram, if you are observing the first diagram, of course here offline UPS, usually I am showing with the online UPS. Offline means you just assume without inverter. Here in this diagram inverter is present, but offline UPSs there are absence of inverter, because these type of the UPSs are manually operated, not only automatically on and off. That's why in the absence of inverter, that is not an online UPS, that is an offline UPS, that is a mechanic manually operated by human. So that is what we called as, usually we will call like this generators, UPS. So this is what we called as offline UPS. But if any UPSs will support for online, that means inverter, that type of the UPSs are also called as online UPS. Inverter means, again we have one technology here. Dear students, I will show you that exact technology. So in this particular picture, if you are observing one running a normal AC power, an AC power is coming here. Inside that power 230 of volts is coming to that your computer. With the help of a cable, a charger will get a power, and that time now is power is coming on, power on state, this is on, power is there. That power will be coming to the charger. Automatically that charger will move the powers to the battery. Now with the help of that cable, again that power will be connected to the inverter, and automatically the power will be connected to the particular device. But now one thing you should remember, students, here is inverter is not in on state. Because inverter now it is in off state. Why? Battery it will be in off state because it is no need of battery now because power is there, power is on. That's why inverter technology. If you are able to remember, I will show the NOT gate. Yeah, NOT gate. Assume this inverter as a NOT gate. Whenever the power is on, so this is an input. Whenever is a power is on to the UPS, if it is in a inverter presented UPS, whenever the power is on, power is there, that time 100% the outcome of the inverter is in off state. Because complements, when power is there means what is the necessity of the inverter? Why we need stored power? Because usually the power is on, that's why the inverter is in off state, and the battery without doing any battery because the battery is full. But if it is a battery is low voltage, it is having a low voltage, that time it will be performed to charge, but battery is also full nowadays. See, charger, from this charger to the battery, battery is a full charge, then automatically power is supplied to the device. But when the power is off, see, the input is off to the inverter, power is off, that now the power is off, remember. The inverter output is on. Automatically when the power will off to the computer, UPS will, inverter will on automatically and produces the power with the help of, see here, now it is power is off, power is not coming, but power is coming to the device. How? With the help of battery. That time automatically inverter will be on. With the storage battery power, the computer will gets the power with the help of inverter. This technology is what we called as inverter technology. Usually almost all in your home, how the UPS will work. You have a one question. How inverter will coming to know power is off? How the inverter will coming to know the power is on, automatically on and off? So this is inverter. This is inverter means NOT gate. So with the help of NOT gate, all these devices will be work like this. I think, dear students, this is a very interesting concept. Now you got information about how online UPS will be work. So now we will coming exact what we discussed now. This is what working principle. Let us discuss. See, offline UPS and online UPS. If you are going to bifurcation, offline UPS or a standby UPS. Another name of the offline UPS is standby UPS. Another name of online UPS is inverter UPS or inverter. So standby UPS runs the computer using normal utility power until it detects a problem. Of course, at that point it very quickly, less than 5 milliseconds, turns on the power inverter, runs the computer UPS battery. Standby UPS systems are more common for the home, for the small business use, because the cost is also less, about half as much as an online systems. When you are comparing with the offline and online UPSs, usually compare with the cost, half of the half of the price will be for offline UPS. Then coming to the online UPS, the computer is always running with the battery power, and the battery is consistently being recharged, and this setup provides a very stable source of the power, and also continuously the system provides extremely clean and to be connected to the computer several systems. online UPSs are costlier than the offline UPS. We discussed earlier, usually that is what? The 50% of the prices will be reduced when we are coming to the offline UPS, but when we are coming to the online UPS, it will be supports for the higher memory, because it has a battery and it has a power supply and it has extra equipments. That's why cost wise also the online UPSs will be a double than the offline UPSs. So dear students, now we discussed about offline and online UPSs and how these particular UPSs will be work on this type of configurations, and what is the implementations of the inverter and how this inverter will be work with the inverter technology. Everything we discussed now. But one thing you should remember, both type of the UPSs will be supports for the electronic systems, but cost wise also different, and physical configurations wise also difference. So after this we have a one small configurations of a system. We are given one example based on that configuration. If you are able to observe on your screen, now I am showing one best configuration for the advanced type of the computer with the processor speed, processor company, and what we have the devices like a RAM and its configuration, hard disk and its configuration, and optical drives, monitors and its classifications, keyboard, cables with the connections of the SMPS, speakers, and also some devices and its configuration. So whenever we are going to purchase any computer, when the retailer will tell what is the configuration if you want. So if we are telling this is the configuration, very easy to identify. Based on this configuration, the cost will be different for the different configurations. So dear students, now we are concluding the chapter number 1 for the typical configuration of the computer. Now I will give some questions based on these particular typical configuration. Now I will showing on the screen some 1 and 3 marks question for the typical configuration of the computer systems. Just write down these questions and practice these questions for this session, and write down the answer for this question. Yeah, this will be some 1 marks question regarding for the typical configuration of the computer system. So pause this video and write down this question. Try to write the answers by own. This is your today assignment, dear students. Thank you. Write down these questions, 1 marks questions 1 to 13. Pause this video and write down the questions. And I am showing some 3 marks questions. So this is what 3 marks question. So this is what some nearly 4 3 marks questions are there. Nearly 13 1 marks questions I given. But these are all types of question, not exactly these questions will come. Types of questions you may expect in your annual examinations. Thank you.